Okay, here we go. Stand by. 3, 2, 1.
The thinking atheist. It's not a person. It's a symbol. An idea.
The population of atheists in this country is going through the roof.
Rejecting faith. Pursuing knowledge. Challenging the sacred.
If I tell the truth, it's because I tell the truth. Not because I put my hand on a book and made a wish.
And working together for a more rational world.
Take the risk of thinking for yourself. Much more happiness, truth, beauty, and wisdom will come to you that way.
Assume nothing. Question everything. And start thinking. This is the Thinking Atheist Podcast. Hosted by Seth Andrews.
This broadcast is going to take place in two parts. It's actually kind of two shows stuck together. The first half of the show is just kind of some of the news of the day, some of the headlines around the holidays that caught my eye, plus your phone calls. Going to go to the switchboard and talk about the holiday and whatever's on your mind. The second half of the show features singer-songwriter Shelley Segal. I asked her if she knew any Christmas songs, especially non-religious ones, the ones that just celebrate the season, and she said absolutely. And so she is standing by. She's going to join me for the next half of the show. And I've got my keyboard here in the back. Now, I don't play a lot. I play a little bit of piano, and I have been teasing the idea of trying to accompany her. As she sings in California, I'm playing here in Oklahoma, and to try to do like it wouldn't be a duet. I don't know what you'd call it, but we're going to try to cooperate for a Christmas tune. That's coming up in the second half of the broadcast. First, I do want to talk about this, well, some would say scandalous story that has made international news. Did you know that Jesus might be gay? Well, apparently there's a comedy show that's been in development. This is a Spanish publication. The headline says, Evangelicals want to censor Netflix backdoor special. The translated article says, a petition led by evangelicals calls for censorship of the backstage Christmas special on Netflix. The movie, The First Temptation of Christ, raises the possibility that Jesus is gay. Now, this article is a couple of weeks old. At the time, the movement had gathered about 400,000 signatures for removal to block it from broadcasting on Netflix. Right now, I think there are 1 million+ signatures. People are genuinely freaked out about the idea of a gay Jesus. And I saw somebody on Twitter who said something that I thought was kind of relevant. I mean, what you've got is a single guy in his 30s who loves to keep the company of men. Doesn't seem all that much of a stretch to me. But The First Temptation of Christ, the comedy special, is apparently on its way to Netflix in some form, and religious people apparently believing that Jesus is not powerful enough to take care of himself, to defend his own honor, reputation, whatever. They believe it must be blocked here, sort of at the lower tier, at the human level, because, Jesus' godlike powers either can't block it, won't block it, or Jesus' feelings are so fragile that he will be hurt by the depiction of a gay Jesus. Interesting. Oh, Donald Trump has rescued Christmas. This was an article in Esquire that was released a few days ago by Jack Holmes. Eric and Laura Trump declare victory in the war on Christmas. You're once again free to put up a Christmas tree. Now, you and I are way ahead of them. We're talking about a pagan symbol. The Christmas tree is a pagan symbol. With plenty of snark engaged, Jack Holmes writes, and I'll read just a portion of the article. He says, we're well into the 12 days of the war on Christmas now, where the lead-up to the most ubiquitous holiday in the history of human civilization is punctuated by fears that the same holiday is under attack. The greeting Happy Holidays is not, you see, a small and voluntary gesture meant to welcome many faith traditions to the American experience, predicated on the idea this is a nation for anyone willing to honor the values of a free society. Instead, the phrase is a heat-seeking missile launched at the Yuletide, an insidious plot to erase Christmas from American life. Luckily, we've recently learned that Donald Trump, American president has already won the war on Christmas. A group of people, which definitely exists, were trying to stop other people saying Merry Christmas, but Donald Trump stopped them from stopping people from saying it. In conclusion, we're saying Merry Christmas again, folks. Yet such is the power of a mass delusion fueled by simmering resentment that somehow, even though the war was won, the defenders of Christmas still feel it necessary to constantly discuss the war and how there was definitely a real time where you couldn't say Merry Christmas in America. And Jack Holmes references this Fox News interview where Eric and Laura Trump were talking about how we're no longer bound by political correctness. It's now a liberating moment in American history where we are once again saying Merry Christmas. The ultimate straw man. They erect the straw man, they knock it down, they congratulate themselves and pat themselves on the back. I did a video years ago called Christmas Behind the Curtain, where we're talking about the fact that I'm an atheist activist. Like, I'm on the front lines of atheist activism. I'm supposedly in this army in the war on Christmas, and I have no idea what they're talking about. And I say the word Christmas because that's the name of the holiday, not because I believe in Christ. It doesn't offend me. It doesn't bother me. You know, if someone says Merry Christmas, I'll say Merry Christmas back, or thank you very much, or Happy Holidays, or whatever happens to come to mind. Just the intent behind it being good and just a well-wishing over the December holiday season. I think there are, 14 holidays of some stripe in the month of December bleeding into January. And so if some of us say, hey, happy holidays or have a great holiday season, it's not because we're trying to exclude Christ or Christmas. It's because we might be trying to be a little more inclusive. Maybe it's just the way we said it. Hey, happy holidays. Hope your holiday's fantastic. It's amazing the stuff people get offended about. There was a dust up about this Hallmark Channel commercial which had been airing. It was for a company called Zola. It's an online wedding planning company, and it showed same-sex couples celebrating marriages, and it had this kiss between two women who were getting married. And 1 Million Moms, which is an offshoot of the American Family Association, which is registered, by the way, at the Southern Poverty Law Center as a hate group, because what they do is they're a fundamentalist evangelical Christian organization, but they are hugely anti-gay and anti-gay people, and anything pro-LGBTQ rights is an assault. It's an attack on the family, and that's how they frame it. This is all anti-family. Showing two women kissing, this is anti-family. And so this organization, which is essentially just a few people, just a very few people, not 1 million moms, certainly. But this offshoot of the American Family Association raises a big stink, and at first blush, Hallmark pulls the ad. Then everybody starts to say, Hallmark, what's the matter with you? These are values to be lauded. You know, these are humanist values. This is a message about love. Please don't remove the commercial. Hallmark reconsiders and then reinstates the Zola commercials. Now, the cynic in me says that Zola is brilliant, right? Because they have just gotten a shit ton of free advertising out of this escapade, and perhaps a manufactured controversy. They knew that there would be the conservatives, the evangelicals who would lose their minds and go crazy. And hey, what a great way to get some mileage out of this. So let's present this, submit this package, get it on Hallmark, watch the dust up, and have our name in broadcast like the one Seth Andrews is doing right now. And that's very well possible. But, I think if we're going to lose our minds, or if we're going to protest because Hallmark acquiesces to the American Family Association, I think if we're going to say, hey, this is just wrong. The zeitgeist has really changed, and it's time for us to grow up as a society, and that love is love, and LGBTQ values are humanist values, to be able to protect the rights of consenting adults to love and frame that love in the construct of marriage. Well, that's something that we need to endorse and promote and support. So if Hallmark does the right thing, whether it's public pressure, whether they had a change of heart, I don't know what reasoning they have. Maybe some of the advertisers leaving freaked them out. Maybe it was a financial decision, business, money talks. whatever the reason was, I think that they need to be lauded and supported for ultimately doing the right thing. And the American Family Association and 1 Million Moms can weep in the corner about the demise of the quote-unquote American family. But the truth is that, this affects them ill, not one bit. It's just they want to control how family is defined. And they want to do so in this narrow religious model, this cookie cutter that is born of a superstition, this ancient text with horrible ideas, and they're going to use religion, their particular religion, to excuse bigotry against other human beings. And we stand against that, and props to Hallmark. I mean, no matter how it all shook out, no matter what the mechanisms were, I say props to Hallmark for ultimately coming to its senses, standing by the commercial and doing the right thing. There was one other story. Let's see. Oh, yeah, just released a few days ago. Hemet met a Friendly Atheist. By the way, if you're not subscribed to Friendly Atheist, you really should be, because Hemet posts some really, really good stuff. And he's extremely fair-minded when he, posts things. He's not a sensationalist. This story, though, is rather sensational. It sort of tells itself. The article is titled, "Church Leader Who Condemns Homosexuality Caught Trolling for Sex Through Grindr." The Kirksville Church of Christ in Missouri has a few, quote, facts that they would like you to know, the article says. The Bible is the only creed, for example. No surprise there. If you visit their Facebook page, they even get more specific, like this message saying you must not have sex outside of marriage, especially none of that gay stuff. And it has a poster posted by Kirksville Church of Christ that says if you're having sex and you're not married, it's not called dating, it's called fornication. Another post says flee fornication with the verse 1 Corinthians chapter 6 verses 9 through 18. The article says you would think Barry Poyner would know all this since he's one of the church's 3 elders, in addition to being a professor at nearby Truman State University. And yet Poyner was just arrested, and you'll never guess why. Okay, I'll give you one guess. Barry Cole Poyner, 57, of Kirksville, has been charged with a Class B misdemeanor count of patronizing prostitution. According to court documents, Poyner faces up to 6 months in prison and or a fine of up to $1,000 if convicted. Documents state that Truman State University Police Department received a tip that Poyner has been harassing male Truman students for sexual contact, as well as offering to pay for items for sexual favors by using the app Grindr. Poyner apparently reached out to an undercover cop posing as an 18-year-old. He offered to pay for the student's gas in exchange for a sexual favor, adding that he, quote, might throw in an Arby's card, LOL. Not exactly a good time to make a dad joke. We've said it before, we'll say it again, no one thinks about gay sex as much as Christian leaders who speak out against gay sex. This guy didn't just commit a sin, he was trying to get some kind of personal record. The school took quick action. Truman State University issued a statement Friday evening saying Poyner has been placed on suspension. The church, on the other hand, hasn't said anything publicly, but they did remove his name from the list of elders and took down his sermons from their website. And Hemet finishes by saying, I don't even care about this guy's personal life, but the hypocrisy is appalling. While this church is actively demonizing gay people, one of its leaders thinks it's okay to take advantage of guys on the side. The criminal aspect of this is one thing, but the ethics of this Christian leader are despicable. You can find that on the Friendly Atheist. Go to friendlyatheist.pathos.com. All of his articles are listed up there. I think Christopher Hitchens said something along these lines. It's kind of a Ted Haggard thing. If you see somebody who's constantly pounding the pulpits, preaching out against gay sex, there's a possibility that they are hiding something. Now, we don't know this, right? We don't know this. But it often turns out to be the case that they are the very thing that they preach against. Maybe because they're, quote unquote, struggling in their own life or heart, or maybe because they're just, happy hypocrites. I found that to be an interesting story. I don't take pleasure in the suffering of another human being. But I'll tell you, I do like to see the charlatans exposed and somebody who's out there shaming gay people being caught soliciting gay sex. There is a kind of justice there, don't you think? I don't know. Let's see what you have to say about it as we go to the switchboard and talk to our listeners. 225, you are on the Thinking Atheist podcast. Hi, who's this?
This is Margot. Hi.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing great. I am concerned about how Christians are trying to corner Democratic candidate Andrew Yang. I don't know if you've heard of him. And they're trying to corner him into saying that he's Christian or seeking Jesus and all this stuff. Lately, they had this little interfaith town hall when he was touring Iowa, and they were trying to, ask him all these personal questions. And this guy was raised secular by science-loving parents. His parents are very, very scientific. They got PhDs in physics and statistics and all that stuff. And he's obviously a very rational thinker, and his logo is Make America Think Harder. He's got that hat that says MATH. But anyway, just because his wife takes their two little boys to church, and he once mentioned that he accompanies them, the Christians are all freaking out and hoping that he'll admit he's going to convert and he's going to accept Jesus. And I can't imagine that he really believes, because he was raised secular. And once you don't believe once you don't believe in Santa, you don't go back. So I just think he's going to church to keep his wife happy. And so he answers to their questions things like, oh, I'm on my own path, which is a nice way of saying, it's none of your business. But he knows it's political suicide to say he isn't a believer. And so, I don't want to corner him either into saying he's an atheist, because it is his own business. But I wonder if he knows about the percentage of voters out there who are non-believers.
I would think that, anybody running for office probably has a pretty good bead on the statistics as we move into 2020. I would think that his strategists are probably telling him what the numbers are. So your point is it'd be nice to see some non-Christians kind of show up, and whether you want to vote for him or not, give him some moral support. Hey, look, it's okay. Don't feel pressured by the evangelical right to be something you're not. There's plenty of non-Christians out here who would be represented by a non-believing candidate. Is that your point?
Yes. And in fact, I would love if you had him on your show. He was on Joe Rogan. He was on Sam Harris. And it would be wonderful if he was invited on your show if you're looking for a talk. But anyway,
I'm a small fish. Most of those cats won't really notice a guy like me. The other challenge I have too is that if you have one, and this used to be true in FM AM radio. I don't know if it's true with podcasting. I'd have to look, but there used to be an equal time requirement. So if you had one candidate on, then you are required to have all the competition on. If they choose, I don't know if that's true on internet radio, so I've always been a little gun shy. But, hey, I'll talk to almost anybody.
Right.
You have a great holiday. Thanks for calling. Appreciate you.
You too. Wonderful. Okay, bye-bye.
Bye. 614. Thanks for waiting on me. You're on the Thinking Atheist podcast. Who's this?
Hey, Seth, this is Justin from Australia. How's it going?
Nice to talk to you, my friend. I'm doing well.
Yeah, so I mean, we're in a society where I guess I feel like religious people often have the voice of numbers. I feel like they hold the public discourse a lot. And the religious family is, I guess you've kind of experienced just listening to your podcast for a while, is kind of the microcosm of the conservative sect. I'm part of quite a fundamentalist family, and I definitely feel like a black sheep. And, with the Christmas holidays coming up, I quite often cope with dealing with my family by biting my tongue, trying to change the topic. I occasionally engage in a fiery argument, but most of the time I'm fairly avoidant. I want to try play happy families. I want to get along. How do you find yourself dealing with large groups of dominant religious family when they're taking passive-aggressive stabs, they're constantly holding the floor at Christmas dinner? How do you cope with it, Seth? What do you do?
Honestly, it used to bother me so much just because these were efforts at exclusion. I mean, they're drawing a big circle around the fact that I'm not in lockstep and I'm different, and I must be made to think like them. And I began to see it as a sign of tremendous insecurity. And once I started to see it as insecurity, it allowed me to see them as victims and be reminded that, these people, nothing I say today, nothing that I do at this table or here at this meal or at this gathering, if I hold up a hand of protest, it's rigged so that I'm the bad guy. It's going to cause a whole bunch of conflict, Mostly when I see somebody who's like, we have to talk about Jesus, we have to talk about God, we have to do these religious things, and they do it for my benefit, and I know it happens. I see them as trying to compensate for an insecurity about their own faith. They must be insecure to feel the need to constantly just be barking this stuff out in your general direction. Maybe they're trying to convince themselves along with me, right?
So, as in they don't want their mind changed? Like, what's this insecurity from, do you think?
I think they have a cultural belief that they have never really had to defend.
Do you mind if I ask a personal question?
You can ask, yeah.
Now that you've been through what you've been through, when you come to Christmas holidays, when you interact with family and you have some of those confrontations, how do you feel about it now? How does it personally affect you on your day-to-day?
Well, when I go to a family event at somebody else's house, I let that person's house determine the rules. Like, you don't come to my home and have a group prayer unless you get my permission to do so, right? But if I go over to a religious family member's house for the holidays, which is how it all shakes out, the majority of them are hugely religious, and they want to practice religiously. When they say the prayer, I don't. When they bow their heads, I just stand there. They know well that I don't participate. They know that I don't agree. But I try to focus on the things that we do have in common, trying to build some kind of familial bond. I never can quite shake the fact that I'm on the outside.
Feel like an outcast.
I don't know. It's hard to describe. Outcast is a dramatic word, but I definitely don't feel like I'm part of the in-group. But I used to let it bother me more than I do. It's maddening sometimes, but I just try to see them as victims of bad ideas. So
Yeah, beautiful. Well, look, thank you so much for your time, Seth. I appreciate it.
We'll have a great and safe one, my friend. We'll see you later, all right?
Thanks, Seth. You too. Take it easy.
843, you're on the Thinking Atheist podcast. Who's this?
Hi, Seth. This is HR.
Hi. What's going on?
Hi. Wow, I'm just surprised to be on. A couple of things. So I have 3 quick parts. First off, thank you so much for everything that you do. When I turned 33, I said, this is when all the great enlightened masters attained enlightenment. So I read everything and listened to a lot of stuff and came out the other side after a year of study as an atheist. So thank you for everything you had to do with that.
Oh, well, that's an honor. Thank you.
So 2 quick things. So first off, I was wondering if you saw the story from this weekend about the Bethel family that started this prayer chain, and it's all over Facebook right now, trying to literally resurrect their dead toddler.
It seems like I saw a headline to that effect, and Friendly Atheist, who I'd referenced earlier, had an article about it. But unfortunately, I don't know the details. They're trying to resurrect a dead child through prayer?
Yeah, so this Bethel church, I guess, out of California, and I saw it because I was in foster care. I went through some things, and my foster parents are Nazarene pastors, and so they're always sharing things that I just scroll past, and I don't engage, and I don't have that fight. But a bunch of my family members were sharing it, and I thought it was just so crazy and so completely sad that they're literally trying to resurrect this girl, and it's going all over Facebook, and I just thought it was sad, and I was wondering if you had seen it.
I pulled the article up as you were speaking. Cincinnati.com has the headline, Family Church Seek to Bring 2-year-old Girl Back to Life Through Prayer, Song, and Praise. And they have a photograph of this precious little girl. After the sudden death of their daughter last week, one family has taken the unusual step of enlisting others at a California megachurch to attempt to bring the child back to life. She died early Friday morning after she stopped breathing. One Instagram post about her name is Olive, had more than 250,000 views within 6 hours. On Tuesday, they had called 911. Medics attempted to revive the child at home and at a hospital where she was declared dead. On Saturday, the child's parents asked that friends, family, and others from the church gather to pray for a miracle of resurrection, the basis for which is modeled by Jesus in the New Testament of the Bible. My heart breaks for the family, and I understand this is an example of people who are grasping at any hope of having a reunion, of having their child back. It's understandable on an emotional level, but it's also tragic, isn't it? When we see how superstition has caused them to falsely hope that their own faith might resurrect the child. And what will they say when the child is not resurrected? Will they consider that their fault because they weren't faithful enough, because they weren't obedient enough? Will they punish themselves when it all doesn't come to fruition like they pray and hope? It really does hurt the heart, you know?
Yeah, I was just, ever since I became an atheist, it's like religion is smacking me over the face. I'm in a bowling room bathroom and a lady opens the door and says, "Oh my Lord, this must be as heavy as the door to Jesus' tomb." And just little things like that I find crazy. But when I saw this, I was just a little overwhelmed that it's going around and I'm seeing it all over Facebook. And yeah, it's just very sad. Yeah. So quick transition about another thing with kids and Santa. I was wondering how you feel about being honest with children about Santa, because I have a 5.5-year-old and we have always been honest with him about that. I even explained God and religion to him using Santa, saying, you know how you have all these different movies and Santa looks different and things like that. And my family, they're kind of mad at me that I don't do Santa, and I don't want to lie to him and have him believe in this being. So I'm just wondering if you have any thoughts on Santa Claus, and again, thank you. And with that was what I wanted to bring up today.
Yeah, well, I don't know that I have the Santa Claus answer, except that I like what Dale McGowan said. He's written a book called Parenting Beyond Belief, and he has a page by that same name, or perhaps it's called Secular Parenting. And we've done a few shows together, but they were talking about how they approach Santa in their own life. And he said with their kids, they used a really light touch, meaning that, it was always kind of a fanciful conversation. They didn't say that Santa was real, but they're like, well, what do you think? I like using Santa like you would use any fictional character. Santa can be part of the decoration for the holiday, but Santa is never posited or presented as a truth with a capital T, a reality. Santa will come, or you won't get gifts from Santa. I don't like that, but I do like the idea of treating him like you would sort of any imaginary creature or any mythological character, making him part of the backdrop, but you can actually draw a circle around the fact that, he's just a story, but he's a great story that's part of the Christmas story. And so that's what Santa is, and that's what Santa means. I think there's a way to use him if you choose without making him a truth with a capital T. So,
well, thank you again for taking my call and all your videos and talks. It really certainly helped me to come to more clarity, and I just really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks so much for the kind words. Have a great holiday. See you later.
You too. Bye-bye.
Right, bye. They used to say in the church, don't teach your children about Santa, because when they discover that Santa isn't real, well, then they're going to disbelieve you when you tell them that Christ is real. And I always found that ironic because, there's just as much evidence for one or the other, really, as far as the God-man, Jesus. Santa Claus for adults is how I've heard it say. I don't use that phrase very often, but it's kind of true. I'm going to take a real short break. When I come back, I'm talking to Shelly Segal, singer-songwriter. She has brought her guitarist and her melodious vocal tones, and she's going to do some Christmas music for us as we celebrate the week, the holiday of December 25th together. So stand by. I'll be right back with Shelly Segal after this. Merry Christmas, happy holidays as we get set for the December 25th occasion, and I wanted Shelly Segal to come and sort of help us mark Christmas of 2019. Hi, Shelly.
Hi, Seth. Thanks so much for having me.
Whenever I think music and I think someone who's, not necessarily putting Jesus in all the Christmas songs, I'm like, well, who could I talk to? Oh, Shelly would be amazing. Do you get requests like this? I mean, I know you played some religious music here and there, but
yeah, I actually do get a lot of requests for holiday music, and try and find some songs that are inclusive, I guess. Songs that can speak to everyone at the holiday time, and so I like doing that, especially because, it's sort of new for me as well. Being Jewish, I didn't really grow up with, my family celebrating Christmas, but I can definitely relate to and understand that feeling of community and wanting to spend time with family. And so, I like being a part of that for people.
Did you miss it? I mean, were you conscious of the fact that we're not doing Christmas in this house?
No, not really. It didn't really bother me. It just was something that other people did. And I was used to sort of, having different traditions than the rest of the people in my country. But also I lived in a, sort of small Jewish community. So all my friends growing up, or most of my friends growing up, didn't celebrate it either.
What kind of songs are you asked to sing these days?
Oh, these days?
Yeah.
I guess people sort of leave it up to you, which is really nice. They say there's some songs that you can sing, and some of my favorite ones. One of my favorite tunes to sing is "Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas," which is the Judy Garland version, and I love it. I fell in love with that song after I left home, and I sang it my first Christmas after moving away from Australia, and just reminds me of all my friends and family.
I've been toying with the idea of trying to accompany you, and I'm terrified because I don't play publicly, really. I like to mash around on a keyboard in the privacy of my home when nobody's looking. It's kind of a stress relief because I enjoy music, but I'm not good. But I thought it might be kind of fun to try via Skype, even though you're on the West Coast and I'm in Oklahoma. So there's 2 time zones and, I don't know, a couple thousand miles between us, but I'm going to give this a shot.
I'd love to.
In the key of G, we're going to try Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas. Is that right?
That's right.
All right. Now, I tend to swear when I make mistakes. So I'm going to try not to mess up your vibe. But if you hear something like that, don't panic. It's normal for me. Okay?
Have yourself a merry little Christmas. Let your heart be light. Next year all our troubles will be out of sight. Have yourself a merry little Christmas. Make the Yuletide gay. Next year all our troubles will be miles away. Once again, as in olden days, happy golden days of yore. Faithful friends who are dear to us will be near to us once more. Someday soon we all will be together if the fates allow. until then, we'll have to muddle through somehow. So have yourself a merry little Christmas now.
Yay!
Well, we proved it can be done.
We did it.
I don't know that I did it very well, but it's,
No, that was
it's
beautiful.
an honor to be able to play with you in any capacity.
Isn't that just the most gorgeous song?
It really is. I'll tell you the one that, and it's a religious song, believe it or not. But "Oh Holy Night,"
Oh, yes.
the melody of that song always gets me. And it's funny because if I ever play it, and sometimes I'll play it over the holidays just for me, and I'm sure there are people who are like, that atheist is playing religious music. You know, he secretly believes in Jesus. But I just thought it was a beautiful song, you know, and it's one of those things where you can divorce yourself from, you know, the truth messages inside of it and sort of make it more of a cultural thing, I guess.
Absolutely. You know, I love... And there's lots of artists who maybe I don't like or agree with 100% of their opinions or even the sentiment of every song of theirs, but I can still enjoy the truth, the honest expression, and you know, and the musicality, and often, the sentiment is sometimes still relatable.
Let's do something non-Christmassy. Give me something off the latest album that you like or you feel like playing. I'm easy. Just pick a tune. And we'll have something for the listeners that's sort of non-Christmassy today.
All right. Thank you. Mm-hmm. Thanks for giving me a chance to play one of my new songs. So I released my new EP, Holy, earlier this year. And I'd like to play the title track from that EP, which is called Holy Man. And basically, you know, as some of your listeners will know who've heard me on the show before, you know, I was brought up in a religious community, and I really felt that this idea of holiness, which was a really big concept in our, you know, day-to-day religious lives, going to synagogue, I felt that what was holy had been defined for me, you know, which words were holy, which words we were allowed to say, which words we weren't allowed to say, and how we had to dress, you know, what's the holy way to dress, and even which people are holy, you know, which people can be the leaders and the teachers, the rabbis, and in my case, it was always the men who is allowed to read from the holy books. And so for me, I felt that it had been defined for me, and I guess I wrote this song to challenge that idea of a hierarchy getting to decide and define what holiness is, because I think everybody should be free to define for themselves what, if there is anything at all, what is holy, what is sacred to them, what is transcendent to them in their lives. And so, I hope that this song, you know, helps to challenge that religious hierarchy, and people that want to create that hierarchy and define holiness for everybody else, and then also inspire people to decide for themselves what is holy.
Love to hear it. Holy Man, Shelly Segal. Whenever you're ready.
Thanks. We got Rob joining us on guitar.
Who is the holy man and what does he believe? That we must cover up our bodies, we must show humility. Well, I believe my body is beautiful and it belongs to me. What makes a holy man? What does he decree? There is an order to this place, and he's atop the hierarchy. Well, I believe there's no one above me and no one underneath. But I'm a sinner, I'm a poor, I'm rotten to the core, and you're the holy man. Well, it's you that he confides. You have God on your side, and you're the holy man. Yeah, you're the holy man. Hey, I hear the holy man. He's calling for our souls, that we must kneel, beg forgiveness like it's something that we owe. Well, I believe our only stipulation is the kindness that we show. But I'm a sinner, I'm a boy, I'm rotten to the core. You're the holy man. Well, it's you that he confides. You have God on your side, and you're the holy man. Yeah, you're the holy man. Take it away, Rob. Well, I'm a sinner, I'm a poor, I'm rotten to the core, and you're the holy man. Well, it's you that he confides. You have God on your side, and you're the holy man. Yeah, you're the holy man. Yeah, you're the holy man.
I know you're from Australia, but it sounds like you got a little country in you.
You know what? I think it's been from touring around the U.S. We go on the road for like 3 months at a time, and we're just listening to country radio. So I definitely think it's
hard
turning
drinking,
into an
hard
American.
loving, pickup driving, country music all throughout
That's
the
it.
Midwest. Yeah, you know where you're at.
That's next. That's coming next.
Well, if you do a bluegrass record, I'll make sure we get the word out about that. I'm sure there'll be plenty of waves. You and I both share a love and a huge respect for and admiration for Tim Minchin.
Yes.
He is kind of a Renaissance man, and he has one of the most beautiful songs for this time of year that I have ever heard. And we get to hear you sing it for us.
It's such a special song.
Let's do that. It's a short conversation before Christmas. We're all going to take some time away with our families, but I'd love to hear White Wine in the Sun, Shelly Segal's version of Tim Minchin.
Thank you. This has been such a nice way to get into the holiday spirit, and I loved your rendition.
Oh, it's been a lot of fun for me too. So thanks very much. So whenever you're ready, I don't know, is Rob going to back you up on this one?
Yeah, Rob's going to back me up.
All right.
Right, so this song makes us a little bit homesick, but I guess living in LA, we're not without too much sunshine, so we're okay. So here's Tim Minchin's White Wine in the Sun.
I really like Christmas. It's I just really like it. I'm hardly religious. I'd rather break bread with Dawkins than Desmond Tutu, to be honest. And yes, I have all of the usual objections to consumerism, to the commercialization of an ancient religion, to the westernization of a dead Palestinian, press gained into selling PlayStations and beer. But I still really like it. I'm looking forward to Christmas, though I'm not expecting a visit from Jesus. I'll be seeing my dad, my brother and sisters, my gran and my mom. We'll be drinking white wine in the sun. I don't go in for ancient wisdom. I don't believe just 'cause ideas are tenacious, it means that they are worthy. I get freaked out by churches. Some of the hymns that they sing have nice chords, but the lyrics are dodgy. And yes, I have all of the usual objections to the miseducation of children who in tax-exempt institutions are taught to externalize blame and to feel ashamed and to judge things as plain right or wrong. But I quite like the songs. I'm not expecting big presents. The old combination of socks, jocks, and chocolates is just fine by me. 'Cause I'll be seeing my dad, my brother and sisters, my gran and my mom. They'll be drinking white wine in the sun. I'll be seeing my dad, my brother and sisters, my gran and my mom. They'll be drinking white wine in the sun. And you, my baby girl, my jet-lagged infant daughter, you'll be handed round the room like a puppy at a primary school. And you won't understand, but you will learn someday that wherever you are and whatever you face, these are the people who make you feel safe in this world. My sweet blue-eyed girl. And if my baby girl, when you're 21 or 31, Christmas comes around and you find yourself 9,000 miles from home, you'll know whatever comes. Your brothers and sisters, me and your mom, will be waiting for you in the sun. When Christmas comes, your brothers and sisters, your aunts and your uncles, your grandparents, cousins, me and your mom will be waiting for you in the sun. Waiting for you in the sun. Drinking white wine
Lovely stuff. Shelly Segal. To you and to Rob, I hope your holiday's fantastic. Thank you for sharing a little bit of the December week with us as we get set for 2020. Can you believe it's already almost 2020?
Can't believe it.
Where's the time gone? But it's always good to see you, my friends, and hopefully we'll get a chance to bump into each other on the road out there. So anyway, say Merry Christmas to everybody, Shelley and Rob.
Merry Christmas, everyone. Happy holidays.
We'll see you back
Happy
here very
Hanukkah
soon.
to my dad, who gets angry at her sing Hanukkah songs.
Awesome.
And happy holidays to you and your family, Seth.
You guys take care.
Lots of love.
Follow The Thinking Atheist on Facebook and Twitter for a complete archive of podcasts and videos, products like mugs and t-shirts featuring the Thinking Atheist logo, links to atheist pages and resources, and details on upcoming Free Thought events and conventions. Log on to our website, thethinkingatheist.com.